Mario Party is probably one of my favorite game franchises. They're dumb games that completely spit in your face, but, you know, sometimes you enjoy a good face spitting. It's a series that brings the whole family together and then immediately breaks them apart. The first video game I ever played was Mario Party 7, and as such, it holds a very special place in my heart. The mere sound effects from this game can fill me with nostalgia. Hearing Mario say,
"Hey, Stinky!"
brings back so many fond memories. And I know that I'm not alone in my love for this franchise. Ask almost anyone who grew up in the Nintendo 64 and or GameCube era of Nintendo, and they probably remember playing one of these games. They're great. Mario Party is, in an almost sadistic way, genius. It's not a life-changing experience nor a revolution in game design, but it does what it wants to do extremely well. Nintendo somehow managed to create the perfect formula for a digital party game. They then proceeded to milk that formula, then abandon that formula, then half-heartedly return to that formula, before then just recreating that formula by literally recycling that formula from the old games and just making it look pretty. I mean, I don't really mind that it's recycled content, because it's not bad. I just think it's kind of funny that they just threw their hands up in the air and were like, alright, fine. Here's the old ones, please give us $60. And I did. But now that the series is seemingly back on track, and I really hope it stays on that track, I started to wonder why it all worked in the first place. What makes Mario Party good? Why does this formula work, and what caused it not to work? I mean, are these important questions in today's political climate? Yeah. I think so. The whole concept of Mario Party is quite simple. It's a board game, but with Mario. It clearly wants to invoke classic board games like Monopoly and Candyland with its images and gameplay, but it makes one key change. It's not bad. I don't know how much of a hot take this is, but I think that a lot of these classic nostalgic family board games are incredibly bad. Like, yeah, I know these games are part of everyone's childhood, but have you ever actually been engaged in one or really enjoyed the game itself? Have you ever been to a party and been like, hey, you guys want to play some Candyland? Hey bro, want to play some Trouble? I haven't, but Mario Party, that seems cool. But why is that? What makes Mario Party stand the test of time and these other games not so much? What makes Funny Plumber and his friends commit capitalism such an engaging gameplay experience above and beyond all these other games? After all, it does borrow so much from them. Sorry, Monopoly, Uno, and all these classic games just have a significant amount of luck and not really much interactivity on the part of the player. How many times have you been like, wow, that was a really cool property acquisition, or wow, I can't believe you sorried me. That was a really skillful move. There's no real skill or decisions involved, so these moments don't really have a lot of impact. I apologize if I'm ruining your childhood, but it's true. These games kinda suck. And it's not board games either, because there are plenty that are great. Personally, I love Settlers of Catan, Villainous, Ascension, and my favorite of all, Breaking Bad, the board game. The issue with these classic games is their extreme lack of depth. There are not many meaningful decisions you can make in these games. You could be replaced by a monkey with no knowledge of the game, probably wouldn't change the outcome much. Your choices don't matter, strategy is almost impossible, so why would you get invested? Now, I know what you're thinking. Are you really trying to convince me that Mario Party is a game with depth and strategy? Are you really trying to say that this is something that is skill-based and has meaningful decisions? Yes, I am. In most Mario parties, you are presented with many opportunities to make choices that impact the game. Which direction you go, which items to buy, when to use your items, who to target with bad items, when to spend your coins. These are all important choices that directly influence your performance in the game. You have legitimate reasons to make different decisions, and you can be rewarded and punished for how good or not good you are at making them. Most of these other games don't have these choices, and even if they do, often these choices only have one correct answer. I'm not saying that Mario Party is the deepest game, but it does allow players to make meaningful choices and use skill. And this is all without even talking about the mini-games. These are probably the biggest innovation that Mario Party adds to the board game formula. At the end of each turn, you and all the other players compete in a variety of different little events, mini-games if you will. These can range from cooking a steak to winding a toy to committing manslaughter. Winning minigames rewards you with coins that can be used back on the boards to buy items and stars, so you are highly incentivized to be a tryhard and murder your friends. These are kind of genius. They break up the board game part, take advantage of the game's digital medium, and most importantly, give players something to have a stake in. It's a little competition inside of a larger competition, and it can get far more intense than it has any right to. The minigames reward experience, technique, and game knowledge, and these are all things that are fairly synonymous with deep and complex gameplay. So, despite what you may think, Mario Party does have a good amount of depth to it. There are plenty of elements within the core formula that reward skill, game knowledge, and decision making. It's not the mindless game you may think it is. However, the astute among you probably have noticed that I'm not exactly covering everything in here. Well, it's true that there are actually quite a bit of elements in Mario Party that are skill-based. There's more than enough that aren't. And it's these things that aren't that make Mario Party unlikely to appear at next year's EVO, even though that would be hilarious.
Tech chase as always. Yep. That's what we expect from clubs. Oh my god! Left the stock! 2 clean stocks!
So, Mario Party is not exactly skill-based. Even if it does contain some depth, there is so much nonsense and random BS in these games that there is never a guarantee that the one who is most deserving of a win will actually get it. Just as much as a lot of Mario Party's core design rewards skill, just as much of it involves luck. Some of these elements include... Chance Time is a space that will randomly swap someone's stars and or coins with another player, and that player is chosen at random. There are lucky spaces that will randomly spin a wheel and randomly determine a reward, or they just give you a star and coins, because that's fair. Bowser and Koopa Kid spaces will randomly decide a punishment for you for randomly landing on them. There are item spaces that give you a guess what random item. I mean, your primary method of moving around is dice, which, by my best calculations, are random. Even the minigames. The one spot of the game that's really supposed to reward skill. Some of them are completely based in luck. Oh, you want to challenge another player to a duel minigame and see who's the more skilled player? That's just adorable. Mario Party looks at all the depth and complex decision making that it has carefully cultivated and just does unspeakable things to it. You think you have a hold on how the game is gonna go, and without warning, that security gets ripped away from you because Bowser was cranky. But this randomness doesn't really take away from the experience. In fact, I think it enhances it. I complained about the other games for being too much based on luck, and you might reasonably think that I would dislike it here, but I don't. Luck and randomness aren't inherently bad game design. In fact, I think they can work really well depending on the specific game and how they are used. Mario Party is not trying to be a fair and balanced competitive experience, and that's okay. It is a party game for friends to create crazy moments together, and both luck and skill lend themselves really well to that goal. It's really funny when random dumb things happen and ruin people's hard work and effort. It's always entertaining to see the king topple, the peasant rise, and the poor soul that never ceases to be tormented. I find it really hard to get invested and make memories in those other games, because it's hard for me to put anything into it. I have no stakes in these games because I don't matter. In Mario Party, you still don't really matter, but it tricks you into thinking you might. Sure, the monkey that replaced you might be in last the whole game, then it lands on chance time in the last turns and get all of someone's stars. It really doesn't matter how much strategy and how much effort you put into this game. It could be all for nothing. Is this fair? Is this skill-based? No, but it is memorable, and that's kind of the key. Mario Party needs that blend of luck and skill for it to be appealing to as many people as it is appealing to. It doesn't matter if you're the most seasoned gamer or the newest of newbies, you'll either have something to sink your teeth into and learn and perfect, or you'll have the funny stuff to laugh at. You all have a chance to win, and you all have a chance to equally as much get screwed over. It lends itself perfectly to creating these funny, memorable moments for everyone involved. And if creating these moments is the goal of Mario Party, fairness really doesn't need to factor in. Luck and random BS aren't bad, but they really do have to have a purpose. The nonsense of Mario Party does have a purpose. It serves to create these moments of insanity in an otherwise pretty straightforward game. It is the spice you put into a well-made pot of spaghetti, whereas in these other games it's the spice you put on dirt. It doesn't matter how much spice you put on it, it's dirt. Unfortunately, the worst of this franchise is that exact dirt. If you are familiar with these games, you've probably been waiting for me to talk about them, and personally I'm excited to do so, as I think their failure really highlights my point. The best Mario Parties blend luck and skill pretty well, but the worst don't. 9 and 10 are pretty universally regarded as the worst for one big reason. The car.
Ka-chow!
Instead of each player moving around the board individually, all players are now confined to this one car. The car moves on a linear path and players can't really control where they are in their turn. There's no real way to plan, no way to make any real strategic decisions on the board. Mini-games were also de-emphasized in these titles. Instead of having one per turn, you now actually have to land on minigame spaces. Yes, the video game part of this video game was something you might never encounter. There was also just a lot less player interactivity. In older Mario parties, you could target other people with items and traps to screw with them, but now you have no control over this. Nor do you have really any control over anything. You are completely bound to where the car is, and where the car is something that is completely out of your control. Sure, this more than satisfied the random part of Mario Party, but it's not skillful. Sure, the car has plenty of potential to screw people over, but the comedy isn't there because players aren't being screwed out of things they earned. There isn't much choice, so there isn't much to get invested in. I mean, people hate being cramped in cars in real life, so why would you want to do that in a video game? It's stupid, and they did it for 2 games, and it sucks so much, and it's terrible, and who thought this was a good idea? But nobody liked this. In fact, they liked it so little that Nintendo decided to do it twice. Sure, there were some cool ideas for boards, and there were quite a lot of good minigames within 9 and 10, but because their core structure is just so broken, nobody ended up caring. This just shows how important that skill part of Mario Party is. No Mario Party is perfect, and there are some that are better than others, but none were as hated as these two. And it's because of the reasons listed. But at least having this chapter of bad Mario Parties made us really appreciate the better ones. Made us appreciate these dumb games that spit in your face for how well they can spit in your face. It's Mario Party. You know it, you love it, you might hate it, but in the end, you will just lose to Master Luigi.